It's fried fish season. You want to fry fish like a pro, perfectly cooked, crispy, crackling crispy, like stained glass crispy. You want to learn how to do it 2 different ways? I got you. Stick around. Let's cook some fish. There's a bunch of easy elements that we sort of have to pull together right away. We have to make our sauce, we have to cook our noodles, we have to toast our rice powder. It's easy to buy, costs about $1.19 for a pouch, but boy, when you take traditional Thai sweet sticky rice and you make toasted rice powder yourself, it's 3 times as good. This is not a homemade ketchup situation where the homemade is not gonna match your favorite from childhood. Homemade is always better and it's super inexpensive. So let's get started with our pickles, our sauce, our batter for our fish, and all of those things one by one. Kind of get everything ready. Then we're gonna fry the fish and bring it all together. All right. I don't know, I have like 3 tablespoons of Thai sweet sticky rice, and I'm just gonna put it over a low flame, and all I'm gonna do is toast that really nice and slow until it's nice, nutty, dark, and brown. And that flavor is going to permeate that sauce. Next thing I wanna do is get a quart or so of water boiling in a small pot and lay in a handful of rice stick noodles, rice vermicelli, and let those start to cook. They don't take very long to cook, and they are so delicious, especially if you pull them together with lettuce leaves and herbs, and you can just feel them and pull a noodle and taste it. So we'll boil those and drain them in just a second. So it takes about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes for these noodles. And there we go. Really simple. I'll set those aside. You can oil them, but again, their stickiness is part of the joy of eating them. You do you, but I'm gonna leave mine unoiled. Now, it may be hard to see, even with the high resolution on this camera, but those are already turning beige, from white to beige, and they're becoming nutty and aromatic. I can smell that toasted rice. So when that happens, you just wanna, I have this on a relatively low flame. You just wanna make sure that you have a nice thick pan that conducts heat evenly, and that every 30-45 seconds or so, you just keep tossing. Step 1 in making our pickled carrot and daikon is to mix our vinegar and our sugar in a 2-to-1 combination. And I love doing this in a jar because it's super simple to dissolve the sugar that way. And in about 20 seconds, despite the cloudy appearance here, 99% of the sugar is dissolved. Just letting it stand will dissolve the rest of the sugar. And what's gonna make up another about 1/4 cup of liquid is the juice that comes out of the carrot and the daikon radish. So we're gonna stuff it in there, stick that in the fridge, and you can enjoy it in about 12 hours. I recommend making it the day beforehand, but I've even used them in an hour. If you were gonna use them very quickly, you can always heat this liquid up, but I find that makes the daikon and the carrot too limp. But anyway, you can see here, this is clear. The sugar is now dissolved, just standing there, and we'll get down to julienning our carrots and our daikon radish. Let's get our mandolin out, shall we? Nothing better than long strips of pickled daikon. And daikon has so much juice in it. All radishes do, but especially the large Japanese and Korean daikon. I'm trying to keep my carrot at anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inches, just to make it a different length than the daikon. And again, I don't want to cut myself. This is just the end of a carrot. It does not matter if I throw this little nubby bit away, because look at that pile of carrot and daikon. Perfectly julienned. We're gonna toss that in a bowl to mix it up, throw it into our jar, and pickle away. By the way, I'm still toasting my rice there, and you can see how nutty brown it's getting. We're just going nice and slow. I've got my pickling liquid, my daikon, and my carrot, and I've put it into a quart-sized ball jar. Now, the reason why I love doing this is that even though my liquid only reaches about up to there, every couple hours I can just reverse the end. And you have enough pickling liquid clinging to the carrot and daikon, and that daikon is going to start to give off its liquid after about 2 hours. So by the time this is done, all the liquid will be filled up, the carrots and the daikon will be perfectly quick pickled, and so this is going to go into the refrigerator until we're ready to use it. Okay, so to make nam jim jiao, which is a dipping sauce for grilled meats, fried meats, delicious with fried fish, you need to have some dried Thai chili flakes, Korean chili flakes. You can even use conventional red chili flakes. I like the Thai version, and I put about a tablespoon in there. And what makes this dipping sauce different from other Thai dipping sauces is that it uses dried chili flake. I have about a tablespoon of those Thai chili flakes there, and I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons. There's 1, there's 2 of fish sauce. Use a good one. Good fish sauce is really invaluable. To that, I am going to add about a tablespoon plus a quarter, little bit, a heavy tablespoon of sugar. I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a stir. And then to that, I wanna add about 2.5 tablespoons of lime juice. Give that a little stir. And then to that, I am going to add a scallion. And I treat the bottom half of the scallion different than the greens. With this bottom half of the scallion, I'm gonna cut it directly in half, lay those halves down, and slice this very finely as I can. Now this part of the scallion, obviously it's whiter, got a little more onion flavor than the greens. I've got about a healthy 1.5 tablespoons there, and those go in. And then the green tops, I cut thinly, but I like those rings. I like the shape of it. And then to that, I am going to add about 2 tablespoons of sliced shallot. Now, all shallots are also different sizes. So I cut these in half and cut them as thinly as I can. And then before I peel another shallot, I'll see, maybe I don't need that skin. Well, it's a pretty nice, healthy amount of shallot. I think that's about 2 tablespoons plus. Throw that in there. And then all we're waiting for is our toasted rice powder. We'll put that in there, and then we've got nam jim jiao, fantastic, fantastic dipping sauce for the fried fish. Okay, so this has been toasting really slowly for almost half an hour, and you can see that it is now brown and toasty and aromatic. So yes, while some are darker than others on one side, sometimes, you know, when you turn it over, if you pick up a couple, you can actually see that some are a little toastier. So, you know, you can keep going. I'm a fan of keeping going. You know, I like to make sure that it's really, really toasty. But if you wanted to grind them at this point, which I've done before when pressed for time, you go ahead. I'm just gonna let it go just I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes longer. All right. Those 4 or 5 minutes to me, that little extra time, it's probably been a full half hour, just made it that much more nutty and aromatic. So now we're ready to grind these. I only need like a tablespoon and a half of toasted rice powder to go into my Nam Jim Jiao. So I'm just gonna put a few tablespoons into my grinder. This is a little mortar and pestle that is, well, it's actually Japanese, but it's ribbed. You can find them in a lot of different Asian countries. And you can keep working this nice and slowly, and it will do the job. You can also use a spice grinder for this. Or if you want to do a big boy batch and be really, really quick about it, I'm just illustrating how my favorite mortar and pestle annihilates this in about 30 seconds. Now, I promise you, as easy as it is to buy pouches for very little money of toasted rice powder at an Asian market, the aroma of the homemade stuff, the flavor, what it does for your sauces, and stir this up. I love nuoc cham, which has garlic and lime juice and chilies, fresh ones, not dried ones. I love nuoc cham. But Nam Jim Jiao, probably my favorite of all the Thai dipping sauces. And this dipping sauce, if you want to know, hails from Isan province, the Thai province in the north that has some very strange foods, some very delicious foods. So because I'm going to treat my fried fish a couple different ways, I have some mayonnaise, dill, minced shallot, sweet relish already in this little bowl. And I have French cornichon. And I am going to slice these very, very finely into a super, super fine thread, as it were. And then I'm going to come back against them the other way. Micro dice of these French cornichon pickles. And the reason that I'm going to this care and being so specific with these pickles is because a really great tartar sauce has all these wonderful ingredients in them. We have several on the website at andrewzimmern.com, just a tablespoon or two. I've got enough in there. I've got an extra cornichon. I'm gonna eat this one. So I've got mayonnaise, cornichon, shallot, sweet pickle relish, dill, salt and white pepper. And I'm just gonna add a little drizzle. I mean, a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of Japanese red vinegar. I get this from theJapanesePantry.com. I'm gonna stir this up and let this sit in the fridge. And we're gonna use this quick tartar sauce. I guess all tartar sauces are quick. You could use this just as a dip for fried fish, obviously. Any fried seafood item is great with tartar sauce. Or poached seafood item. A little more vinegar. You want it tart. And this goes into the refrigerator. Now it's time to make the batter for our fish. Because remember, the whole point of this is that it's fish fry season. I have some salt. I have some baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, 2 teaspoons. I have a 1/4 cup of rice flour, and I'm gonna add a cup of good old-fashioned AP flour. And I'm gonna whisk that together to evenly distribute the salt and that baking powder. So I have, as best I can, a nice homogeneous mixture here. And I have a beautiful can of beer here. Local, nice Minnesota brewery. The folks at Fulton make a spectacular blonde ale that I love to cook with, especially for things like this. And I put about 3/4 of it in there. I want to incorporate this last bit slowly at the end. I incorporate that into 2 parts, 3/4 and then the last bit. And you'll see I'm about the consistency of pancake batter. If you want it thicker, add a little more flour. Set that aside. Then my fish. And this is, you know, where the rubber hits the road, right? I have some beautiful sea bream here. And I'm just gonna cut this little piece of belly away. Most people, I think rightfully so, prefer skin off their fried fish. So I'm just pulling the skin off of that fillet. Whoop, this always happens. I just sharpened this knife. And I think for those people who skin a lot of fish, and I am one of them, my knife performs a lot better. I can actually pull this off. My knife performs a lot better after it's sliced a couple of fish. The first one, I mean, oh my God. So there is, I'm just gonna cut these into 2.5, 3 ounce pieces, and I'm just gonna set those to the side. Now this is bream, by the way, a lovely, lovely, lovely fish. But you can also, you know, you could do cod, haddock. I mean, I don't recommend halibut really, but you know, you can. Again, same thing. Take this off. This is a gorgeous small fillet of bronzino. Let's see if my knife has dulled out at all. And yeah, 1 cut is enough to do that. Oh yeah, perfect. I can sort of feel when it catches. Look at how beautiful that is. I'll cut this into pieces. And the reason I cut them into smaller pieces is that otherwise you get this giant long thing. I just took some fish fillets out of my freezer. The dogs just go nuts for this stuff, don't you? And it's another reason why I use a thinner batter, because with these delicate pieces of fish, they fry in no time at all. But more importantly than that, I don't want it to be a lot of batter and not a lot of fish. So there, we have our fish fillets, we have our batter. Now we have to do is dust them in flour and get them in the fryer. All right, I have a bag here with some seasoned flour in it. And I'm just gonna throw all of these bass and bream fillets in there. Why do I do that? Well, it's just so easy to dredge them this way, that's why. Okay, and then I just shake very carefully. Don't want to break the fish, but it's sturdier than you think. Get all the flour out of those corners. And the idea is, I just want to make sure my pieces of fish are separate in there. I don't have any sticking together, and I don't. So now I literally can reach in with a tong, dunk them into my batter, beer batter made with rice flour, and then put them into a large heavy pot that has some oil in it, fry it, and then we can make our two dishes with it. Take a floured fillet, let the batter run off, drop it into the oil. And you don't want to crowd the pan, but then again, at the same time, these are small, room temperature fish fillets, so we really don't have to worry too much. We're just gonna let those fry. And we're just gonna flip these over. Let them get nice and crispy. The great thing about this batter technique, because of the rice flour, they get super, super crispy. Which really is the point of the whole deal, isn't it? Now this one right here is the first one that I put in. By the way, recording all of this in real time, right? Just gonna let all these get nice and crisp, and I'll probably remove them pretty much in the order that I put them in. And the other thing that I really like about this batter recipe is that the batter is thin enough that you don't have big wads of batter. I want to eat fried, crispy fish, not fried, crispy batter with little pieces of fish in it. I'm just turning them to promote even cooking and even browning. Look at that. And then what I want to do is I just want to season them with a little salt. Oh yes, the dogs, they know when things are done. But look at that fish. That is spectacular. Want to hear the sound of perfection? That is the crispy sound of fried fish awesomeness. First plate, let's put down a portion of tartar sauce on our toasted bun. You can put one fillet down. You can put 2 fillets down, whatever you think is fun. Forgot the most important part. I'm so anxious to eat this. Let's get that American cheese nice and toasty and bubbly, shall we? Some lettuce, a couple of tomato slices, a little more tartar sauce, and bun. You'd eat that, wouldn't you? Yes, I know. In this bowl, I've got some of those rice noodles. I've got some scallions that keep falling over, but that's fine. Cilantro, mint, a couple of pesky dogs. And I'm gonna put some fried fish right there. Move these herbs around a little bit. And then we're gonna find a little bowl for our dipping sauce. But it is nice just to put a little bit on top of the noodles. Let's get a little container of sauce for these and finish this off. So I found a beautiful little light green ramekin. I'm saying no to the dogs who are jumping up. No, Luca. Oh my gosh. And there you have a classic hybridized Thai Vietnamese style fried fish bowl. And of course, here you have the ultimate American fried fish sandwich, modeled after my favorite, the Filet-O-Fish. Tartar sauce, lettuce, tomato, fried fish, American cheese on a toasted bun. Which one are you gonna crush first? This delicious Southeast Asian hybridized Thai Viet noodle bowl with Nam Jim Jiao? Or do you wanna crush my version of a Filet-O-Fish sandwich with American cheese, tartar sauce, and those same crispy fish fillets, lettuce and tomato, of course? I don't know, why not just eat them both, right?